Kirk Cousins recently spoke with Isabel Gonzalez of CBS Sports, and they spent a little bit of time talking about Bill Belichick and how much Kirk admires the soon-to-be Hall of Fame head coach, arguably the greatest of all time, and the different looks that he presents defensively that can oftentimes be confusing as a quarterback on the other side. He was later asked by Gonzalez, would you play for him? Him being Bill Belichick. Kirk responded, quote, I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to play with a future Hall of Fame coach, but we'll have to see where March leads. It's just a lot of unknowns right now. Well, that's very interesting because Bill Belichick is scheduled to have his second interview with the Atlanta Falcons this weekend for their vacant head coaching position. And although the Falcons are doing their due diligence by interviewing other candidates, it's Bill's job to lose. They're not going to put those other candidates ahead of Bill. If he's not the next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, it's because Bill Belichick decided not to do it. That, unless something crazy happens, that's his next destination. Bill Belichick will soon be 72 years old in April. They could try and trade up for one of the top three guys, Drake May, Caleb Williams, or Jaden Daniels, but Belichick just went through 3 years of Mac Jones. I don't think he's interested in developing another quarterback again. I think he's more interested in immediately competing, and he knows that Desmond Ridder ain't it, which means that free agency is their best option. And not only is that their best option, assuming anyway, the only option that they have in free agency to compete, the best option that they have, is Kirk Cousins. Of course, you can throw Russell Wilson's name in the mix as well. Eventually, he'll be cut by Denver and he'll be a free agent. But between those two guys, Kirk and Russell, Kirk is way more of Belichick's speed at the quarterback position. In fact, I talked about it throughout this season that if he doesn't play in Minnesota again, talking about Kirk, that his next landing spot, I think the perfect destination for him would be the New England Patriots under the assumption that Belichick is still coaching there. And ironically enough, Russell Wilson has been linked to the Vikings yet again. We'll talk about that in just a second. But for Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta with Belichick leading the way, you would have the 11th ranked defense in 2023 now in the hands of the guy that you just spoke so highly of on offense. Young, talented playmakers. You have a future star in the making at wide receiver. You have a stud at running back. You have a freakishly athletic tight end, a solid offensive line, and you're at the end of your career, coming off an Achilles tear. This is it for you. This is your chance to shatter the narrative created by the masses, including myself, that in the postseason you can't get it done. That no team can win a championship with Kirk Cousins as their quarterback. This is your chance, your final opportunity to turn the tables on the rest of us. And the Atlanta Falcons have the cap flexibility to make it work, to give you market value, whatever it is that you're seeking. Kirk Cousins has always been about his business. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, you're about 2 or 3 years away from being up there, maybe with San Francisco, with Baltimore. You have a defense that overachieved last year with the lack of talent they had on that side of the ball. Atlanta, I think they have more of an incentive to go above and beyond Kirk Cousins' asking price compared to the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to have to keep an eye out on that. But Russell Wilson, this past Tuesday, Jeremy Fowler reported that Russell Wilson would be intrigued by the Vikings. I hope the Vikings aren't intrigued. There are pros here, just a few of them. 2 to be exact. The pros with Russell Wilson. He's cheap because he's going to get paid his $39 million by Denver once he gets cut. So whoever wants Russell Wilson, whoever's thinking about it, As an organization, you can get him at the vet minimum. So he's going to be cheap and he's competent. But that's about it. The cons, the baggage, the mixed reviews from past teammates about how he comes across. And a guy like that, do you really want him to be the bridge quarterback? Not just, okay, try to go out there and win games as best as you can, but drafting a quarterback, having a young rookie quarterback sit behind a guy like that many of his past teammates said, yeah, I don't know about this guy. He's on the field, okay, fine, but in the locker room, in practice, you got to go through his manager, his agency to get a hold of him. Do you really want a guy like that mentoring your future franchise quarterback? Absolutely not. Which makes getting one of the top 3 guys, if you're Minnesota, more and more of a necessity instead of, okay, hopefully we can get one of these guys. Washington at pick 2, they got a new owner. They just hired a new GM. They're going to hire a new head coach. They're going to draft a quarterback. They'd be stupid not to. The Patriots, they're going to draft a quarterback. We really need Chicago to believe in Justin Fields. Let's start a campaign all across social media and come together and hold hands and talk about how Fields is on the cusp of greatness. All he needs is another receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., bolster up that offensive line. Trade down. I do expect for them to trade down unless they take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1. But trade down with only Washington or New England, because if another team emerges out of nowhere for that 1 spot, it's over. Then you're talking about J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix Jr. But we really need Chicago to be invested in Justin Fields for at least 1 more year for the Vikings to have a shot at one of the top 3 guys. I just feel like it's too much to overcome. I would love it. I would pop champagne if they can make it happen to where they can still trade up to the number 4 spot with Arizona and be perfectly fine. They have either Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels. I don't know if that's going to be likely. But either way, for S&Gs, I did another mock draft. Just staying put, no trades. The first mock draft I did, I traded up to get Jaden Daniels, but no trading up this time. At pick 11, the Minnesota Vikings. We're going defensive tackle here, Jazon Newton out of Illinois. At pick 42, we go quarterback. We address it. J.J. McCarthy, quarterback out of Michigan. At pick 104, edge rusher, Darius Robinson out of Missouri. At pick 126, this guy, I'm just determined to get him, to make him a Minnesota Viking. I don't give a damn by any means necessary. At pick 126, going running back here, Blake Corum out of Michigan. Pick 150, defensive tackle. Again, I want to bolster it as much as possible. Worst case, get depth. Keith Randolph Jr. out of Illinois. Teammates with Jazon Newton. At 156, going offensive line, guard specifically here, Zach Zinter out of Michigan. So far, 3 former Wolverines are now going to be Vikings. At pick 161, Aaron Casey, linebacker out of Indiana. And at pick 202, Patrick McMorris, safety out of Cal. Your thoughts on that mock draft, go ahead and comment your feelings about that. Just to reiterate, Kirk Cousins, it makes all the sense in the world for him to go to Atlanta under Bill Belichick's leadership. Russell Wilson to Minnesota, I hope it doesn't happen. It wouldn't shock me at the same time, but come on. Nah, man. Let's be done with that.